also armed in the same or like manner on the 16th. So I want to explore the entire...
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Anjali, but there's a further... I'm just really thinking aloud, putting points to you, so to help you, to help us by giving arguments on the points that I'm thinking about. Even if they originally got arms to protect themselves against NUM, the next question that arises is, did they have to keep those arms? If the police said, you don't need them to protect yourselves against NUM, we're here. We won't allow NUM to attack you. Because you remember General Mpembe's evidence was that they wanted to escort the group, first, for two reasons. Firstly, to stop them doing things they shouldn't be doing, attacking people in the informal settlements on the routes. But they also wanted to protect them in case there was a problem from NUM. So that's the further point that has to be considered.
Indeed, Chairman, data to you. But how does this even work? Assuming they were entitled to arm themselves to the teeth so that they protect themselves against NUM. Now, what do you have? You have a group of 300-400 people with pangas and spears and machetes and all sorts of other weapons against 300 of NUM people with machetes and then they hack one another in self and private defense. What type of country is this? It can't even be stated as a basis of bearing arms in that manner. You go, as the chair you correctly point out, you go to the police and you say, look, we are being threatened here. We are threatened by even officials of NUM, and there's an investigation, and the consequences of the law take hold. What you don't do is to go to Mr. Kasim and take his entire stock. And maybe let me interrupt myself there, Chairperson, because it might just slip my mind. One of the recommendations we would wish you would make, it's not in our written submissions, Chair, in relation to Mr. Kasim, is traders who trade in weapons of that kind must keep a register. And they must sell to somebody whose particulars they can have, their ID have, and the purpose for the use of that thing. Just so that when General Mpembe comes to Lonmin, and you know, he might have done nothing wrong. As a trader, he probably is entitled to do what he's doing.
Before we get General Mpembe coming to London, I'm just thinking about the recommendation you ask us to make. Firstly, you would say an arms dealer like that, a weapons dealer like that, has got to keep a register of people to whom he's selling the weapons, with detail, I would imagine, with details like the ID number, require production of proof of identity. That's the first thing. But secondly, it may also be necessary to say that the arms dealer must have reason to believe, or rather, must not have, I don't know how one would formulate it, perhaps you can think about that and come back to us, must have reason to believe that the person to whom he's selling the firearm, the weapon, will use it only for lawful purpose, in fact needs it. So that, I don't know how effective that would be, it would presumably have some effect. So that, if possible, the number of dangerous weapons in circulation is reduced. But anyway, I'd be grateful if you think about that and perhaps formulate a proposal for us which we can put in our recommendation.
We'll do that, Chair. But and that's typically why a commission of this kind would be useful, because you find that Mr. Kasim is trading, is acting within the law. There's nothing wrong he's doing. But now that we know he's located in a place that may tend to be volatile in events of industrial action, such a measure would be necessary at least to mitigate the problem.
So I think there's another section that could be put in the Act, while I'm thinking aloud in response to what you're putting to it. I think it would be necessary also for the prospective buyer of a weapon of the kind that you're talking about to make a statement to the prospective seller as to how many weapons he's got, or perhaps he hasn't got any weapons. Otherwise, if a man comes along and he says, I'd like a panga, and I need it because I want to protect myself for various reasons. It'd be relevant to ask him, well, how many pangas have you got? And if he then says, I've got 6, and then the merchant would say, I'm sorry, I can't sell you one. In fact, I can't. If, of course, he says, I've got 1, or in fact, he says, I've got none. But if you can subsequently prove that he's got more than, that he had weapons already when he made the purchase, that would be a crime in itself. And you say that, so indirectly, you could also have some kind of a basis for restricting the sale of dangerous weapons. There may again be, I'm sure there are more ideas you can think of, but that just strikes me as you're arguing. It's clearly an important matter. We've got to control the number of dangerous weapons in society. We've got to see to it that they're only possessed for lawful purposes, and that the weapons merchants must be under some kind of restraint, such as applies to second-hand dealers and scrap metals merchants and that kind of thing. But far more reason, actually, for control of this kind than exists in the other cases that I've referred to.
Indeed, Chair. And for argument's sake, when General Mpembe gets met with now these people are faceless, at least he would go in my example to Mr. Kasim and say, who did you sell to? And that can make a search and seizure a little bit more pointed. At least there's an avenue, there's a tool somewhere there.
And Mr. Kasim has got to be satisfied the person he's selling the weapon to is the person whose identity card he's seen. So if he writes down the number, and later it appears that the card belongs to somebody who doesn't look remotely like the photograph of it doesn't look remotely like the person who came to buy the weapon, then Mr. Kasim's in trouble. Perhaps unfair to refer to Mr. Kasim. I better use a neutral letter of the alphabet. Mr. A, the
weapons dealer.
The weapons dealer.
Yes, Chair. Chair, before I also go to more difficult sports, I wish to refer us to the provisions of Section 9(2)(d) of the Regulation of Gatherings Act. And maybe if I were to read it.
Honorable Gadi, I proceed now with the business as I have ruled.
Madam Speaker, you notice?
Honorable Waters,
Speaker, what's
Honorable Waters, please take your seat.
Madam
I'm not
Speaker,
recognizing.
The incompetence,
I'm not recognizing
the incompetence
you.
of the ANC whippery has caused this debacle
I
today.
am not
And the
recognizing
fact,
you.
There's nothing unforeseen about the length of this program.
I am
We
not
have- we talked
recognizing
about
you,
it.
Honorable
No, you
Waters.
didn't. And what's happening here is you are taking
Honorable
instructions
Waters,
from
please
the
take
Julie
your
House
seat.
with your red phone by your seat, and we are not going to stand for it.
Honorable Waters,
No,
I am asking you again, take your seat.
I will not.
Honorable
I want
Speaker.
If you will not, then you can only
Honorable
do one other thing, and that is to leave the house.
Honorable Speaker, can I help
Who's
you?
going to force me?
Speaker.
Who's going to
No one.
Please leave the house.
Who is going to
Honorable
force me?
Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable
Honorable
Waters,
Speaker.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Waters,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Waters, Honorable Waters,
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
leave the house. Honorable Waters,
Honorable Speaker. No.
Honorable Speaker,
Going
Honorable
nowhere.
Speaker.
Honorable Waters,
Lost it. He's going nowhere.
Honorable
leave the house.
Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Can you see from Kwamashu like you?
that?
It's abuse of
Honorable
power.
Speaker,
We
Honorable
are tired
Speaker.
of being poisoned by you all the time we come here.
may I assist you, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Speaker, I'm from Guamash.
Madam Speaker,
Can you hear me?
Give us our chance to talk. It's our
Honorable
right.
Speaker,
Don't
I'm from
suppress us.
Guamash like you. Can you hear me? Honorable Speaker, can I help you?
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable
I recognize the Chief Whip of
Yeah,
the
but I was
majority
standing
party.
first. I was
Madam
standing
Speaker,
first.
I recognize.
uyabona ukuthi kwenzakalani phezulu bashaya ihlombe.
I'm
No,
recognizing
no,
the
no, no, no.
Chief Whip.
Usani
Yeah,
ukukhathizwa
but
bafethu.
I was up first.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker.
Hawu.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, the
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
You are not on the floor, Honorable Member. I've recognized
Yeah,
the
but I
Chief
was on
Whip.
the floor first than him.
Honorable,
Point of order.
I have recognized the Chief Whip of the majority party.
Yeah, but I was up
I have recognized the Chief Whip.
first. Yeah, but you have no interest in recognizing us.
Please
this side.
proceed, Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker.
Please proceed.
The rules provide that any member of this House who is not happy with your ruling, there's a recourse according to these rules to the Rules Committee. We need to move forward, Honorable Speaker, to proceed. We need to proceed. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable,
Madam Speaker.
honorable members, I appeal to you to take your seat.
No, Madam Speaker.
may I address you
I've asked for a
I
point of
appeal
order.
to you to take your seats.
I've asked for a point of order, Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order?
The point of order is that once again this House is in utter chaos because you, Madam, have decided to change everything that has already been predetermined before this sitting. That is absolutely unacceptable. No wonder this House is so furious. And frankly, we have to continue as was decided prior to this. You do not have this authority.
Honorable members,
Honorable Speaker.
I have asked the table staff to assist with the issue of ensuring that we limit the motions and the notices of motion.
Madam Speaker.
No,
Speaker.
Speaker, point of order.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
You can't all of you talk.
Point
Madam
of
Speaker.
order. Recognize one of us.
Madam Speaker.
You must
Honorable members, honorable members,
Point of order, Madam
you
Speaker.
can't all be standing on your feet. There's someone standing at the back, someone
Recognize
here, another
one.
one here.
Recognize one, then the rest will sit.
I actually don't want to recognize anyone.
It's a point of order. It's a point of order.
Madam Speaker, may I address you? Recognize one.
Honorable
order.
Steenhuisen, I will recognize you just respecting your position as the chief whip of the biggest majority party and hoping that you are going to be helpful to the House before I proceed with the business of the House.
Madam Speaker, I'm going to be eminently helpful to you today by advising you that Rule 2 cannot apply in this case. It cannot apply. Because this is not an unforeseen eventuality, you were forewarned about it. Therefore, it's not an uneventuality. Madam Speaker, the Democratic Alliance have members' motions today in terms of the program that was agreed. And I'm saying to you, Madam Speaker, that my members will read out every single one of them, regardless of whatever business is going on in this House today.
Honourable
every single
Steenhuisen,
one of them.
once-
Madam
once-
Speaker, you are abusing your position as Speaker, and I would sincerely hope that the only reason you're doing this is that Gwede phoned you and instructed you to do it. Because I expect more from you. I expect more from you as the Speaker.
Speaker, may I address you?
Madam,
Honourable members, I now proceed.
Madam Speaker,
No.
may I address you?
I am rising for the third time. May I address you?
Honourable members, I wish now to proceed
Madam Speaker,
to notices of motion.
Madam Speaker,
Madam Speaker, may I
And
address you?
is
I
there
am
a
rising
member?
for the third time now.
I've not given you an opportunity to
Madam
address
Speaker,
me.
may I address you on a
May
point
I
of order?
have
Based on
Point
what
of
you are
order,
not
Madam
recognizing
Speaker.
me.
anyone who wants to give a notice of motion?
Madam Speaker, may I address
Madam
you on a
Speaker,
point
can-
of order?
May I be recognized,
Madam
Madam
Speaker.
Speaker?
No, honourable member.
No, why not? Why not, Madam Speaker?
I am now on notices of motion.
No, you must
May I
provide
be
clarity first.
recognized, Madam Speaker?
And honourable members are rising to differ with the chair, which is a very unfortunate situation.
Because you are busy.
I'm not
We
rising to differ
come
with the
to
chair.
notices of
I'm not
motion.
rising to
May
differ with
I
the chair, Madam
address you?
Speaker.
I'm asking for
Achtbare
the
Speaker.
seventh
Heard me, you
time
want
now.
what I'm
I'm
rising
counting.
Achtbare Speaker. Achtbare Speaker. Achtbare Speaker, op 'n punt van orde. Achtbare Speaker, mag ek u toespreek op 'n punt van orde? Speaker, hierdie raadsaal is veronderstel om 'n bepaalde integriteit te hê. En ek wil 'n beroep op u doen as Speaker om te verseker dat daardie integriteit gehandhaaf word. En u kan nie reëls maak wat teen die reëls van hierdie huis is. En daardeur die integriteit van hierdie huis aantas nie. U is besig om die oppositie te wil probeer boelie om u interpretasie te gee aan reëls. Dis onaanvaarbaar en ek doen 'n beroep op u om in belang van die integriteit van hierdie raadsaal toe te laat die reël korrek toegepas word en laat die mosies voortgaan soos altyd in hierdie huis. Ja, dank.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Honourable member, please.
Madam
we have
Speaker,
Madam-
the
No
honourable
honourable
member
member.
rises before I do.
No
and
honourable member.
I am
Madam
not
Speaker, I'm
rising to
asking for
differ
the eighth
with the
time
Madam
now.
Speaker.
I am not
May I-
allowing you.
Madam Speaker, may I address you, please?
It's the eighth time now.
Honourable member, please take your seat.
Madam Speaker,
Honor-
the honourable member rises
Honourable
before me
Speaker.
and he speaks and you do
Honourable
nothing.
Speaker.
I have respectfully asked that may I address you. I am not rising to differ with you. I'm only asking to address you. Why must other members have a privilege to address you over other members? Now that on its own begins to be unfair. But that's not why I'm rising.
I'm
So
not
may
addressing
I
you
address
without you
Madam
giving
Speaker?
permission. There are people talking to you while I'm standing. 8 times I've asked.
You actually shouldn't be standing. Because I have not recognized you.
Because I am asking for recognition.
You asked for recognition by raising your hand.
It was up.
Not before you spoke. You stood up and you spoke.
Madam Speaker, may I humbly please address you?
Honourable member, address me.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, the first issue is that if things continue as they are, we'll find ourselves back at 21 August. What is happening in the gallery, that rancher crowd that is here, is contributing to the chaos in this house. I ask you, Madam Speaker, that you rule first that you control those members in the gallery. Because we cannot have 2 houses of parliament. We are busy here and there's another business there. The second issue, Madam Speaker, is that I still submit to you that you are not within your powers to exercise Rule 2. And it's an abuse of power if you insist on addressing us on Rule 2.
Honourable members, it's not that we did not talk about the fact that the business will take us until late. What I am saying is unforeseen, is how late. Honourable members, are you talking? Are you listening? I am on the floor. I am talking. And I am saying the reality is you cannot keep honorable members on the benches beyond a certain time. And I, in my analysis of the situation, have decided and am ruling that let us contain the length of the program as much as it is in our hands. We can go on up to 10 o'clock, but let us limit as far as we can. And honorable members, I now wish to take notices of motion. I'm allowing you to take notices of motion.
No.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I wish you, Madam Speaker, take your opportunity to have notices of motion.
Can I address you, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable members, we can't be wasting time on the
recognize us. You are going to recognize us. Madam Speaker, our hands are up.
No.
You can't continue with our hands up. You can't.
We refuse.
You can't continue.
We refuse. I think
There is a
you need to hear
difference.
us.
Put this
I
thing
want
on.
to appeal.
Put this thing
Honorable
on.
Speaker.
Why are you switching it off?
No.
Why are you switching it off?
You cannot switch off the microphone of the opportunity. You will put this on.
Hey.
You need to address
the sound on.
No. Please, we need to address this. We need to address this. No.
Honorable Speaker. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm on the floor.
Please.
Can I advise you, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, can I advise you?
No, Honorable
Can I
member.
advise you, Honorable Speaker?
No.
You are not going to get away with this one. Can I advise you?
Honorable member, just sit down.
Can I
don't have a seat.
Take a seat.
I don't have a seat.
Taking a seat. You are not recognizing
taking a
us.
You are not taking
Please
our
sit down
hands.
and you are not recognizing us.
You
What
are
must
not
we do?
recognizing
Must
us.
we
So
leave?
what must
Honorable
Why?
Maimane,
What must we do?
Please, will you recognize me? But the mic is not working.
it's working.
Thank you very much. Speaker, with great respect, today is an important day for the people of this country. We can't, when we go to a programming meeting, then discuss the eventualities that are going to take place. And then for the Speaker to come in and say, as if that discussion did not take place, that it's unforeseeable. I want to plead with you, Speaker, to reverse your decision in this regard. That the motions must be given their full length, as it would be consistent with the rules. We foresaw the situation. Let me also say, Speaker, that none of us have any intention
Consistent with which
of
rule?
leaving early. We want to be here to serve the people of this country. We will remain until 1 o'clock if that's what is needed. We cannot leave this house. We refuse. So can we have a frank discussion and in fact proceed with the program as it was set up this morning? I plead with you, Madam Speaker. Please, on Rule 29. Please, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I'm just amazed by your excitement. I don't understand it. Because all we're trying to do is to manage, which is what we are supposed to do. Honorable member, you'll end up without a voice.
Madam Speaker, can I request that you request the chief whips of parties to quickly confer with you in private to help resolve this pandemonium and
Honorable
suspend the
Gadi.
House at least for 10 minutes
No.
whilst they are conferring with you.
No,
I think that
Honorable-
will help because the chief whips and the whips of the ANC are more likely to agree with what will be discussed in private in your chamber.
Honorable,
I thank you.
Honorable Gadi, we will not suspend the business of the House. We have a very long agenda for today. And what we intend to do is to proceed, and the chief whip will go to the other whips and talk to them, and that process will be different from the process of the business of the House proceeding. So right now we are having notices of motion, and those who have notices of motion,
Madam Speaker,
I want
Madam
to
Speaker.
recognize them.
Honorable
Madam
Speaker,
Speaker.
may I address you? My hand was up, it's tired now.
Madam Speaker.
It's really tired now.
You can't have your leader here in front saying her hand is tired, and you are also screaming there at the mic. Honorable Litchfield Shabalala, because your hand is tired, let me recognize you before I proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not sure what was told to you about an unforeseeable event or eventuality.
No, honorable
But
member.
can I put it to you that this program was supposed to be even longer than this if opposition did not argue in the Chief Whip's forum for the powers and privilege item to be moved to next week? According to the ruling party, it was supposed to be tabled today too. So nobody can come here and complain about the program being long. It was planned to be long. Had it not been for us, it would even be longer than this. So this is not unforeseen. Unfortunately, if we continue like this, then may I put it to you that this is nothing but a one-party dictatorship. Then it's not a multi-party process.
Honorable members, can we now have notices of motion? Honorable member?
Thank you.
And that is what is on the order paper.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
There's a document called the guide here. The first thing here is notices of motion, and that was as agreed. What now, Honorable Maimane, please take your seat.
I asked you to make a ruling. Can you
No,
rule on
no.
what I requested?
No, Honorable Maimane,
No,
please take
can
a
you
seat.
make a ruling? I think the decision
Please
was bad.
take a seat.
Honorable Speaker, I move on behalf of the African National Congress that in this next sitting, the House debates transformation of the structure of our economy to increase women participation and access to economic opportunities. I thank you.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Honorable members, the issues you have raised are all acknowledged.
Well, reverse the decision.
And I will revert back to the House on them, on advisement.
Today.
Right now, I am taking notices of motion.
No. Today.
Yes, Honorable Member.
We request that the debate continue as per program.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party that 4 children having been found dead inside a freezer in Ermelo, Mpumalanga yesterday. Further note that these boys aged between 4 and 7 were last seen playing outside the house on Tuesday afternoon. The National Freedom Party extends its deepened condolences to the families, friends and relatives of the deceased. We further call on parents to be vigilant, ensuring the safety of our children. I so move. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Are there any other notices of motion?
Yes, there is.
No, Madam Speaker,
Honorable Maimane.
I refuse to sit down.
Honorable Maimane, please take your seat.
No. I refuse, Madam Speaker. Because you are ignoring us. That is what you are doing.
Honorable Chair.
No, you can't be ignored.
Honorable Chair.
Simply cannot accept that you can ignore us. That can't happen.
I move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debates expanding the opportunities of sustainable livelihoods through support for cooperatives and micro enterprises. I so move.
No.
Any other notices of motion?
Now I'm not sure how we must proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I move on behalf of the ANC that in the next meeting we are going to discuss community participation and crime prevention.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable member at the back.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
I move on behalf of the ANC.
Madam Speaker.
That in its next sitting, the House debate the vital importance of what committees and community participation in ensuring that municipalities function.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
I don't know what it is you are going to say which your leader has not said.
Madam Speaker, due to the unforeseen circumstances today under Rule 2, under which you have made this ridiculous ruling today to suit the ruling alliance and to protect your party from any act, it's an act of mutiny of the parliamentary rules. I would ask, Madam Speaker, with respect, that you surrender your chair to the Honourable Froelich so that some order can be restored to this House and that we can proceed with the business of the day. You have lost control of the House for the second time, Madam Speaker. You are pushing us to a constitutional crisis, and I would ask that in the interests of this institution, you step down from the chair so that we can proceed with the business of the day.
You wish.
Point of order, Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order, Kubai.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I think I need to address the House in terms of what Honorable Steenhuisen has raised. I think what he's doing is totally unacceptable. It's totally out of the rules. I'm not so sure which rules is he referring to. And I don't think that what he's trying to do in putting Honorable Froelich where he's doing, the Speaker is presiding, and if Chief Whips are not able to ensure that the House operates effectively, then it is an indictment of the Chief Whip, which he is part of the Chief Whips. He has a duty as a Chief Whip to ensure that there is order in this House, which he has failed himself.
Are there any other notices of motion?
Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable
May I assist you? May I assist you, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Speaker.
In fact, you are the one who's causing disorder in this House.
ANC that in the next sitting, the House debate the state of the beneficiary list in municipalities and in the national database and the need to develop fair and transparent systems.
We are not listening to your motion. You're wasting your time. We're not listening to your motion.
Speaker.
Is that a notice of motion, Honorable Mishwe?
Yeah, Honorable.
I want to address you.
Honorable
May I
Speaker.
address you, Speaker?
Honorable Speaker. We are here to represent the people of
Honorable
South
member,
Africa.
I have not
We are not
recognized
here to play.
Honorable
We are here
member,
to
can you
work.
take your seat?
We are here for the best interest of this
Take
country.
your seat, Honorable member.
May I address you on a point of order, Speaker?
Reverend Mishwe.
Speaker, the public watching what's happening in this house must be embarrassed now. We are embarrassed ourselves. And we definitely cannot carry on this way. So I want to make a request that has been made already by some of the honorable members. And that is that you withdraw your ruling or reverse your ruling, and let's stick to the program as was agreed in the Chief Whip's meeting. Please.
Honorable Mishwe, I regret I will not agree to what you are saying.
Order, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the IFP.
Can you recognize me after the IFP?
No,
after
please.
the IFP,
Please take
can
a
I be
seat.
recognized?
Take your seat.
Please recognize me after
Take
IFP.
your seat, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would want to plead again, as I earlier indicated. Just wait. Calm down. You see, the other thing is that the adults must conduct themselves as adults here. Madam Speaker, I'm pleading with you that you reconsider this ruling that you have made on Rule 2, because obviously it is now subject to great contestation and interpretation. For the sake of progress and for the integrity of your office, that you suspend the ruling that you have made and you allow for the program to continue as agreed to by the programming committee, and then refer the matter back for future eventualities, so that when we come here, we are on agreement in terms of how we want. That is the essence of democracy, and that's the essence of consultation.
Honorable Chief Whip.
I stand up to second the IFP motion and agree that we continue as was planned.
Are there any other notices of motion?
Madam Speaker.
Can I just have the honor of recognizing you, Honorable
There's a new
Gadi?
message, Mr. Speaker.
Can I
Thank
have
you,
the
Madam
honor of recognizing Honorable Gadi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now that we have come to an agreement that we are going to continue with the program as it is, may you please confirm that your ruling has now been set aside by yourself, so that we continue very clear that that is what is
The ruling has been referred. The ruling is being referred to a forum of the whips led by the Chief Whip. May I check whether there are any notices of motion?
Madam Speaker, can we please receive clarity? Because what the Chief Whip of the majority party has said, which I support, is at odds with the ruling that you made. He said that we proceed with the program
With the program as agreed, yes.
at programming this morning.
Honorable members,
that was the last program that
why
was
must
agreed.
we come here and teach you English?
Madam Speaker, you're now being derogatory, and it's unbecoming. It's unbecoming of the office that you hold. Are you withdrawing it, and are we going to proceed with the last agreed program?
We are proceeding with the program
agreed at programming
as consulted and adopted this morning.
Yeah.
And the content of the ruling is referred for further consultation. May I have those who want to express notices of motion, Honorable, from the NFP?
Madam Speaker, I hereby give notice that on the next sitting day of this House, I shall move on behalf of the NFP that the House deliberates on the provision of agricultural officers to assist farmers, especially black farmers in rural areas. I so move.
Honorable Kalyan.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the special privileges the Gupta family enjoy in South Africa.
The Honorable on the corner of the EFF.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move that at its next sitting, the House debates the continuing constitutional violation of the rights of lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, and intersexual South Africans. So I move.
Honorable Self.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the cost to the taxpayers of defending President Zuma in the spy tape saga.
Honorable Reverend.
On behalf of the African Christian Democratic Party, I give notice that I shall move that the House debates reasons for the increasing number of rapes by police officers who abuse vulnerable members of the public who depend on their protection, and come up with recommendations that will bring this unacceptable, heinous crime by police officers to an end. So move.
The honorable member right at the back.
Madam Speaker, I move without notice on behalf of the UDM that the House notes that there are allegations of rotten feeding schemes in the province of Limpopo, where about 275 pupils at Makeke Primary School were reportedly taken to hospital on Monday. Further notes that suppliers reportedly...
Proceed, honorable member.
Okay. Further notes that the suppliers...
Honorable member, we're on notices of motion.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we're on notices of motion. Yes, honorable member.
Madam Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the amount of public money spent on upgrading the private residence of President Jacob Zuma.
Honorable member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of the United Democratic Movement that at its next sitting, the House debates the correctional services system's inability to meet the increased demand for more space and the resulting harm to individual inmates. I so move.
Yes, honorable member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the politicization of the IEC in the Northwest under President Zuma.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Economic Freedom Fighters, which is the government in waiting, rises to raise a notice of motion that the House in its next sitting debates the cost tender system, the role of the state, and its impact on service delivery under Jacob Zuma.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I hereby give notice that I shall move on behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party that this House, at its next sitting, debates whether in light of the endless drama, scandal and general instability that continues to prevail at the SABC, it is still the right thing to do to pay our TV licenses. I so move.
The honorable member at the back. Honorable member at the back, were you asking for water or asking for recognition? Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the long-awaited amendments to the ministerial handbook that has to be finalized. Thank you.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of the African National Congress that in its next sitting, the House debates expanding the opportunities for sustainable livelihoods through support for cooperatives and micro-enterprises. I thank you. I so move.
The honorable member. I'm recognizing Honorable Litchfield Shabalala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The EFF rises to move that the House in its next sitting debates the role and continuing relevance of the International Criminal Court and its track record of pursuing the prosecution of African personalities. I so move.
Honorable member. No, honorable member, I recognized him.
Yeah, thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move that this House debates the worrying trend of Minister Davies, who has missed his parliamentary questions, as similarly President Zuma has done, which is problematic for job creation. I so move.
Honorable member.
Madam Speaker, I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting of this House, the House debates the crumbling state and lack of maintenance of municipal infrastructure and debates solutions thereto.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of Economic Freedom Fighters that in its next sitting, the House debates cancellation of National Financial Student Aid Scheme, debt for poor graduates. So I move.
Honorable member of the IFP.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party that at its next sitting, this House debates the delay by Nigerian government to release South Africans deceased in the Nigerian tragedy. Thank you.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting we debate the need for obligatory training for all SABC officers on the proper procedures and investigations of a rape and abuse. Thank you.
Yes, honorable member of the EFF.
Kennisgewing vir 'n mosie visserygemeenskap. Die ekonomiese vryheidsvegter stel voor dat die huis by sy volgende sitting die volgende debatteer: die toestande van die visserygemeenskap langs die kusgebiede in die land. Dankie.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Speaker, I've got two motions to make.
No, you are only allowed one.
I move on behalf of the DA that this House debate the sewer spillage in the streets in Governor Big Municipality and the health hazard the children and the community members are exposed to. I thank you.
The Honorable Shengwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party, I shall move the listing of this House that the House debate the high levels of financial vulnerability of the vast majority of consumers in South Africa and the steps that can be implemented to assist them in better managing and easing their debt servicing situation. I thank you.
The honorable member.
Honourable Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the consistent failure of government under President Zuma to develop a vibrant rural economy and a sustainable land reform process, make political victims of farmers and farm workers.
The honorable next to Shabalala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on behalf of the Economic Freedom Fighters to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the ability of post-secondary education and training institutions to absorb and equip all students who come from secondary schooling with education that is directly linked to community services and industries. So I move.
Honorable member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next meeting, this House debates the installation of a helipad at President Jacob Zuma's Nkandla homestead at state expense.
The honorable at the back from the EFF.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the importance of having history as a compulsory subject in South African schools. Thank you.
The honorable member, just so she can stop calling.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the more than 11 million rand spent on a military clinic and service area, clip-on and SAPS garages at President Zuma's Nkandla residence.
Honorable member of the EFF.
Thank you, Speaker. The EFF move in its next sitting, the House debates the racial and gender discrimination suffered by black professionals, that black professionals in all spheres of work, the accountants, auditors, doctors, academics, lawyers, engineers, professionals in the ICT sector, and many other professions are still subjected to racial discrimination and unequal treatment. I so move.
The honorable member right at the corner.
Madam Speaker, I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next meeting, the House discuss the negative impact of SATU site stewards on teaching and learning outcomes in our schools.
The honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The EFF rises...
No, honorable member, I didn't recognize you. I'm recognizing someone behind.
Oh, okay. Next time, Madam Speaker, I'm thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Imlo.
Go ahead, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party that this House debate Eskom's temptation to respond to sledgehammer-like projects to make up for their lack of planning and their bad management.
Honorable Kola Barnard.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the ANC's unwillingness to act against its party members who attack the integrity of the public protector.
Honorable member, yes.
Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party, I shall move that on the next sitting, I shall move that on the next sitting of this House, that the House debate lack of sanitation in Ward 6 in Newcastle. I so move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party that at its next sitting, the House debates the state-owned agencies and how much does the state pay to remunerate them, and whether the departments are not abdicating their responsibilities. I so move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Speaker. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the provision of free quality education up to undergraduate level for all South African students as a means of ensuring a transformed and a competitive society. I so move.
Honorable Member.
Honourable Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the use of amphitheatres for security purposes.
Honourable Deputy Minister.
Madam Speaker, I move on behalf of the African National Congress that at the next sitting of this House, we debate the abusive procedures of this House in order to filibuster and undermine the multi-party democratic process of Parliament.
Order. Order, members. Honourable Waters.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates why President Zuma's diary is seemingly too full to allow him to come to Parliament to fulfill his constitutional duties as President of this country to answer questions in this House. I move.
On stage then. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the importance of President Zuma attending question sessions as per the rules of Parliament, disregarding all extraneous circumstances. I so
Honourable Swart.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the African Christian Democratic Party, I give notice that we'll move at the next sitting of the House that the House debates measures to protect the identity of teachers who want to testify before a special task team into Sex for Jobs scandal, particularly to those witnesses with career-threatening evidence who fear for their lives after hearing reports about whistleblowers who have been killed in KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you.
Honourable Kopani.
Honourable, thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debate a 490,000 spent on the construction at Nkandla tech shop. Thank you.
Honourable Kubisi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of National Freedom Party, I hereby give notice that at its next sitting, this House debates the proliferation of schools without necessary infrastructure like classrooms, libraries, toilets, and laboratories. I so move.
Honourable Mbata, mind your sign.
Ngiyabonga, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, ngisukuma ngaphansi kwamaqhawe wezomnotho. Ngiphakamisa ukuthi olunye usuku olulandelayo indlu idebate ukuthi akukho possible yini ukuthi iklinikhi le eyakhiwe kaMhlekazi omkhulu ishintshwe ibe yi-public clinic for the benefit of the nearest community.
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that in its next sitting, this House debate the worrying rise in political motivated acts of violence in the country, particularly in light of the 5th of November shooting of Nkandla
a leader of Corner Civic Group. Thank you.
Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, on the next sitting day, I'll move that this House, on behalf of the African National Congress, that the House notes with concern the assault on democracy taking place at the moment, where a group of minority parties, which represent a small fraction of the electorate, are seeking to undermine the processes in the House and prevent the business of the House from being discussed. I move further that the House notes with concern the inability of the smaller opposition parties to listen when people are saying things that they disagree with. And I note...
Order, Deputy Speaker. Order, Deputy Speaker.
What are you raising on, Honourable Gadi?
The honourable member here has raised his notice of motion, but went further now to raise something bordering on a motion without a motion without notice.
That's your opinion,
Can that
honourable member?
Other part be removed?
No, that's your opinion, honourable member. That's not correct.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. That was no means trying to be a motion without notice. I mean, I know that the honourable member won't support it, but it just shows the quality of what they are doing. Trying to raise points
Can the Speaker sit down,
every
Honourable
little
Speaker?
objection.
Thank you. Honourable member at the back.
Thank you, Speaker. This is an important motion. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the fact that the ANC forces residents of the Nkandla Men's Hostel in Alexandra to live in a building which the ANC City Council city engineers have declared is condemned and unfit for human habitation. I so move.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the reasons why special advisors and friends of the President are granted medical parole, whilst countless of ordinary citizens are not. Thank you.
Honourable member.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I move without notice that the House debates how we can morally bring generation to this House. We have morally degenerated to a point where we are a laughingstock of those that elected us. I put to this House that we as members of Parliament should debate on how we can morally regenerate ourselves. Thank you.
It's a notice, honourable member. Honourable member at the back.
Thank you, Deputy
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates reallocation of resources from other service delivery initiatives to fund the upgrading of President Zuma's Nkandla homestead.
Honourable member.
The Economic Freedom Fighters rises to move a notice for motion that the House in its next sitting debates the generally highly indebted black population to be removed from the credit bureau. Thanks.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debate the inability of Madam Speaker to learn the names of members of Parliament. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Thank you.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the cost of maintaining President Jacob Zuma's palatial homestead in Nkandla, while many South Africans face homelessness and evictions at the hands of the ANC government. I so move.
Honourable member, followed by the EFF. followed by the EFF.
Thank you. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the blatant abuse of municipal employees to canvass votes for the ANC in the Mpafana by-election scheduled for 26 November, as well as the alleged relaunch of a housing project for the same purpose. I thank you.
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House debate the state of failing municipalities in the Free State and to note that those municipalities owe the total debt to 3.6 billion rand. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Speaker.
Yes.
Deputy Speaker, you said I will
EFF.
follow
Okay.
after
Yes, sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
you. Yeah, Enkosi Sekela Somlong. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters to raise a notice for motion that the House in its next sitting debates the state of our public hospitals and why it is important for public servants and public representatives like us sitting here must be compelled by law to use public services to ensure that public hospitals are of high quality. That's what we call Thomas Sankara oath. So I move.
Honourable Nkomo, followed by the lady in front of the EFF.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of the House that the House debates the irregular expenditure of 19 million rands by the Zululand District Municipality in the 2012-2013 financial year and this municipality's failure to appear before SCOPA of the KZN. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters that the House in its next sitting debates the deceptive outward appearance of the so-called multi-party democracy of South Africa. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move that the House in its sitting debate the ways and means of capacitating leaders who do not understand their roles and their responsibility, and the fact that they have lost confidence. They have lost confidence by their constituents, especially the opposition parties.
Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the number of flights on privately owned ultra-luxury Gulfstream executive jets undertaken by Cabinet's top gun, the Honourable Lindiwe Sisulu.
Diabonga Sekela Somlomo. The EFF rises to move a notice of motion that the House in its next sitting discuss the promotion of smallholding agriculture as a bedrock of the country's present and future food security, and the role of the state in ensuring the viability of this section of agriculture. I so move.
On a point of order, Chair. Is it parliamentary to say what the honourable member has just said in the House? She's just said "futsek nina" in the House. Zincha. She must withdraw that immediately.
Honourable Member, did you say that? Stand up, Honourable Member. Honourable members, I'll ask the table to look at Hansard for me, because if
Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Who's speaking now?
I am Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member. What are you raising on?
I am raising the same concern as raised by the other member. The member did, the member, Honorable, the member can repeat it again because we all heard what she said. She said food tech. So there's no Hansard. Honorable Deputy Speaker, she also was not on speaker. She said food tech and she walked away.
Honorable member, just. Okay. Yes, that's okay. Check it here. Honorable member here.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the issuing of certificates for training by the National School of Government, which is funded by taxpayers, on programs that are not recognized by the National Skills Framework, nor quality assured by the relevant quality assurance bodies. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable member at the back.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move that this House debates the fire pool at Nkandla, which was actually found to be a swimming pool, the cost associated with it, and whether this money could have been better used to provide water to the impoverished local community in Nkandla. I so move.
Yes.
Speaker. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the speed at which chickens are allowed to run through the chicken run at Nkandla and the biosecurity of these chickens.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Deputy Speaker, just on a point of order, there seem to be a number of motions which are dealing with an issue which is on the order paper for later discussion, which is the report.
Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
No, I'm listening to a point of order.
It's another point of order.
Not on a point of order.
Okay, I'll be
Not
next.
on a point of order. Just take your seat. Yes, go on.
Yeah, Deputy Speaker, a number of the motions that are being proposed relate to an item that is coming up for discussion on the agenda. That is why they are raising them all, to filibuster that. But is it correct that motions get proposed for discussion that are already on the order paper for discussion?
Honorable members, I suggest that you be careful of violating anticipation, especially on things that are already now on the order paper. Yeah. Okay. Honorable member at the back.
That's me. Siyabonga Somlomo. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates if the landscaping and greenery at Nkandla is in fact indigenous to Nkandla.
Point of order. He's now, you made a ruling, he is now discussing that.
Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable members.
Point of order.
Yes, honorable member, what's your point of order?
The point of order is that in terms of the rules of the National Assembly, a notice of motion shall not be subject to any discussion, debate whatsoever. And the honorable member is out of order by debating motions of members here. Can he be called to order, Deputy Speaker?
Honorable member, if that was correct, then you are yourself out of order. You are commenting on the substance of what he is saying yourself, and I think it is incorrect. Members,
Speaker,
let's not conveniently play on the rules to favor us, whatever it is. You are effectively being disruptive. Honorable Milder?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. You've ruled that we should not speculate or in advance discuss the things that are on the agenda in terms of the Nkandla report as put by the Honorable Deputy Minister. The problem is the following. All the issues that the members are raising with regard to Nkandla is exactly not in the report. That's the problem.
Honorable member? No, you've given you that.
Speaker, just
Honorable
on a point of order,
Deputy Speaker.
Honorable member,
can I proceed?
I raise a point of order?
Speaker, he raised his point of order and you responded to it. I mean, can I just firstly say...
Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, can I raise on a point of order?
He's on the floor. Let him finish.
Thank you.
No, but he's
Thank
the
you,
one who's
Speaker.
out of order.
Honorable member.
Thank you. I mean, can I refer the honourable member to Rule 95, which is the same question rule? No matter shall be proposed for discussion. So it's not just about one can comment on motions that are being raised as you are doing now. And the issue is there is going to be a debate on the Nkandla report, where the issues, if they feel there are issues not in that report because they never attended, they can raise it in the debate. So it is, they are anticipating and wasting everybody's time.
Yes.
Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, I've looked at the rule of anticipation, and perhaps the Honourable Deputy Minister could point out exactly where in the report the Honourable Browter-Seth motion is dealt with, because I've looked through it and I cannot find anything about the pot plants in there. Perhaps he could give us the page number.
Honourable Member at the back.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby give notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that the House, at its next sitting, debate the capital rollout plan of Transnet, as well as other infrastructure plans of all three spheres of government to complement the new IDZ within the Saldanha Bay municipal area. Thank you.
Honourable Kubisi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The NFP rises to move a motion that at its next sitting of this House, I shall move that the House deliberates on the abuse of government fiscus and vehicles of the municipality and the violation of procurement and supply chain management laws by Ulundi municipality. I so move.
Honourable Wald and then Honourable Litchfield.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the
Honourable
EFF.
Shabalala, just one moment, let her finish.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting of this House, we debate the Gauteng Advisory Panel on the socio-economic impact of e-tolls and the mass rejection of the system by Gauteng residents. Furthermore, I ask that the Minister of Transport make a statement in the House in terms of Rule 106(1), stating her position on the work of the Gauteng Advisory Panel and her response once the Advisory Panel has completed its work.
Honourable Shabalala.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF. That the
Point
House
of order, Honourable Speaker. I just want to check on you that whether the member can raise motion, repeat herself.
We'll rule on that later. We'll consult on that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for your protection. I rise on behalf of the EFF that the House in its next sitting debates South Africa's household food security state. I so move.
Honourable Masango.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates when President Zuma will pay back the money owed for the upgrades at his Nkandla home state.
Yes. Honourable members, we have made a ruling on that matter, and I'm suggesting you be careful of that. Yeah. Go ahead, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the third phase of the Extended Public Works Programme and to find ways in which this programme could benefit all South Africans and not only members of the African National Congress. I thank you.
Honourable Member. No, you. No. Just go ahead, Koza.
Thank you,
Honourable
Deputy
Koza.
Speaker. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the failure of the ANC government and its councillors to deal with the corruption and the ill treatment of community members that is taking place in the mines owned by some of the honourable members of this House, like Honourable Cyril Ramaphosa. I so move.
You're out of order. Go ahead, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates reasons why foreign nations, such as the UK, refuse to meet with President Jacob Zuma and its impact on foreign direct investment to South Africa.
Honourable member. Honourable member.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the importance of President Zuma declaring all his assets, njenga indlu yenkukhu noma isibaya yenkomo, and business interests to Parliament.
Honourable members, before we proceed, I just want to raise that the purpose of notices of motion is to propose subjects for discussion, debates, or decisions for the House to take. The report on the President's residence is on the agenda today in the order paper, and it can reasonably be expected that members will be allowed to raise matters pertaining to that matter in that debate. Rule 671 specifically prohibits members from raising a matter that anticipates the discussion of a matter appearing on the order paper. Members are therefore asked to refrain from proposing subjects for discussion that can reasonably be raised in the debate before the House. We're restating that. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debate the use of the proportion of tax received through the selling of plastic carrier bags. I'm so moved.
Honourable Banga.
Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili. Ndiphakamisa ngaphandle kwesaziso ndimele i-Democratic Alliance ukuba le ndlu kwintlanganiso ezayo ixoxe ngokungcola nobumdaka obenzwa yinkunkuma engacholwayo kwazakhele kumasipala waseBhayi. I so move.
Honourable Member.
Ngibonge somlomo ohloniphekile. I here move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the forecast for sea level rise over the decades and increased risk from the natural disasters this brings to our coastal communities and cities, as well as what role government and local municipalities can play to help cities and towns to prepare for rising seas. Thank you.
Okay, Member.
Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next meeting, this House debates the possibility of rescinding the medical parole given to Shabir Sheikh, a convicted fraudster, and the man found to have been in a generally corrupt relationship with President Zuma. Thank you.
Honourable Green.
Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates clandestine visits by President Zuma to rogue nations and the possible signing of secret R1 trillion nuclear contracts. I hereby move. Thank you.
Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, the EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the different access to quality education between the rich and the poor under the leadership of South African Communist Party boss, who have since graduated from being a Communist Party member to a South African Capitalist Party.
Speaker.
No, Honourable Member, the member behind you. Order. Order.
Diabulela, Deputy Somlomo. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the failure of the ANC government to fulfill all its obligations in terms of individual subsidies promised to many of the poorest of the poor who already suffered enough under apartheid. I here so move.
Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the Gauteng Advisory Panel on the socio-economic impacts of e-tolls and the mass rejection of the system by Gauteng residents. I so move.
Okay. Honorable Member at the corner.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I hereby move, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, that at its next sitting, this House debates the lack of competition in the domestic aviation sector, especially amongst so-called low-cost airlines, which, despite the entrance of a new airline, airfares remain unaffordable for most South Africans. I so move.
Honorable Member, at the back there. No, Honorable Member, you mustn't keep standing when a member is speaking on the podium. You are out of order. In future, you don't do that. Go ahead and talk.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the allegations of several bribes of R500,000 paid to President Zuma by the French armament company Thales and its South African subsidiary Tint for his role in brokering the arms deal. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honorable Member, you are out of order. In the first place, unless you do so by a substantive motion, you can't make allegations of that nature. So I suggest we withdraw that. Honourable Member, please withdraw.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I said allegations. I didn't make the allegation myself. There are allegations.
Honourable Member, in doing so, you are imputing on the head of the state that kind of allegations. So withdraw. Honourable Member, I have requested...
Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
I do wish to point out the President is not a member of this House.
I'm aware of that. Honourable Member.
Sorry, Deputy Speaker, what did you want me to do?
To withdraw that.
Withdraw the allegations. I didn't make them, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Member, by repeating them, you are making them.
No. There is an alleged allegation. I'm not making it. I'm merely stating that was the allegation. The allegation is that bribes were paid to our President. And I'm worried about that. It's our President.
Speaker, point of order. Point of order.
Yes, Honourable.
Speaker, I mean, both the Honourable Member and the Honourable Chief Whip don't seem to be aware of Rule 66. It's not about members. It's about persons whose removal from office is dependent on a decision of this House. And that's the rule, and it is no member shall reflect on the competence or honor of such a person. And in making that allegation, that is what the member is doing, and that is why it must be moved by a substantive motion. And I don't know why I would suggest that he reads Rule 66, as does the Honourable Chief Whip of the Desperate Alliance.
He has... Honourable Deputy... Honourable Members.
Sorry, point of order, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Jeffries called us the Desperate Alliance. We are the Democratic Alliance. And if he's going to start names like that, we're going to name him another naughty comrade.
Honourable Member, I requested you to withdraw.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I withdraw.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Honourable Member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates cadre deployment in the South African broadcasting industry.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the conflict of interest in the President appointing the head of the NPA, while the President himself is the subject of 783 criminal charges from the same prosecuting authority. I so move.
Honourable Member.
Ngiyabonga Somlomo. Ngisukuma kwebandla le-Democratic Alliance ukuthi isikhathi esilandelayo umhlangano wethu sikhulume ngokufeyila kwe-ANC ukudeliver ama-title deed ukuthi ba-recognize ukuthi i-property is so important. Ngiyabonga.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Ndiyalibuwa muthusa Speaker ndikho dzinginya ndo imela EFF uri kha dzulo ḽi tevhelaho nnḓu i ambe nga u sa ṱanganedziwa vhana kana u thudzela kule ya vhana vha zwisiwana nga maanḓa vha vharema kha magudedzi na kha dzi yunivesithi dza nṱha nga u sa vha na masheleni ndi khou dzinginya.
Honorable Gadi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I've got 50 motions. Can I read them all so that I
No.
don't come back?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I'll come back 50 times. No
You
problem.
won't. I can let you know in advance that you won't.
That's the rule of anticipation.
Absolutely. That one I can anticipate. I know exactly
At least
what
I
it
can
is.
read two.
No,
Honorable.
sir. No,
okay,
sir.
I'll read one for now. The EFF writes that in this next sitting, the House should debate the profit-shifting concept, which the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa says it is not wrong to avoid tax for companies. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable member at the back. At the back. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the use of marquee areas for security purposes. Thank you.
Honorable Waters? No, you can't address the House. I'm pointing out that the Speaker earlier on ruled that you must leave the House. You're not supposed to be in the House, so there's no way you'll be able to address the House. I'm drawing to your attention, you can't address the House, so you will not be able to get that opportunity.
Deputy Speaker,
Yes.
the instruction of the Speaker was that the Honourable Waters sit down. After a protracted struggle, he did sit down. I'd submit he obeyed the instruction of the Speaker and therefore should be entitled to participate in the proceedings of the House. He's already read one motion out, so...
Honorable Chief Whip, do not make the mistake of making the statements you are making. When you heard what the Speaker said, okay? And it was wrong in the first place for him to do that. Yes, Honorable Member? Yes, Honorable?
But Deputy Chief Whip, sorry, just before the member proceeds, I'm at a loss for words because you already allowed the Honourable Waters to read out a statement prior, so you're undermining your own recognition of him previously.
No, I'm telling you that it was a mistake in the first place. It does not mean two wrongs make a right.
And what rule has the Honourable Waters been dismissed
when you
from the House?
When you defy the authority of the chair and you are advised not to do so and you do so, then it is correct for the Deputy Speaker, Speaker to instruct him to leave the House. And he didn't.
But Deputy Speaker, she asked for him to sit down and he did sit down. And she didn't order him out the House.
Honourable Deputy Speaker.
We will not debate that anymore.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, can we perhaps assess the Chief Whip of the DA? In fact, the Honourable Waters defied both Rule 49
A point
and
of order,
51.
Deputy Speaker. Point of order. Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Waters was not thrown out of the House. Now, if that turncoat across the House there is going to make allegations like that, she is out of order.
Honourable members, Honourable Chief Whip, when you are saying he's not going anywhere, who the hell were you talking to?
Order, Speaker.
I withdraw that. I withdraw that. I withdraw that. Go ahead, honourable member. I withdraw unconditionally. That's a slip of the tongue.
Thank you, Deputy.
Honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, honourable
Point of order,
honourable
Deputy
members.
Speaker. Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honourable member.
I want you to bring your attention the comments made by the Chief Whip of the DA against Honourable Killian. He continues to scream at her. He continues to say a lot of things that he's saying there. It's unparliamentary, but as well for a leader of a party to conduct himself in that manner. He has deteriorated more than even ordinary members. No wonder there's a problem in DA because he can't lead.
Honourable members. Yes, honourable member. At the back there. The member at the back, yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the continuing diplomatic tensions between Malawi and South Africa following President Zuma's outbursts about the quality of national roads in that country. I so move. Thank you.
Yes, honourable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. EFF moves in its next sitting, the House debates
commercialization of correctional services through the privatization of prisons and the effect this has on crime reduction. I so move.
Honorable member at the back, yes.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debate why Minister Blade Nzimande continues to refuse to give a straight answer on when South Africans can ever expect fee-free higher education from an ANC government in our lifetime, and we are still waiting. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I so move.
Honorable Twala.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the FF that the House debate in its next sitting the revival of moral regeneration structures created with a view to re-engineering society towards a healthy, educated, and crime-free society. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. At the next sitting on the House on behalf of the IFP, I move that we debate how we can manage stress and tension in this House. I so move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the 10 million rand the state spent over several years on President Jacob Zuma's legal fees and whether any more government funds should be made available for President Zuma's current and future legal expenses. Thank you. I so move.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the total crisis engulfing the Road Accident Fund.
Okay. Honorable Member. Next to Mr. Green.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby give notice that on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, that at its next sitting, the House debates the abysmal state of affairs surrounding the shocking conditions of the people who live in the informal settlement of Kaya Sands, where notwithstanding high-profile visits by successive ANC mayors and more recently the Honourable Gigawa, after the fire that destroyed 750 shacks, nothing has changed to make a least bit of difference for these, the most vulnerable in our society. I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debate the high degree of water loss in South African municipalities and the ways that we can curb these losses.
Honorable Member at the back. Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the state of our legal and illegal landfill sites and the monitoring thereof by the authorities.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates military veterans' benefits and its impeding factors. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, before we proceed, Honourable Sonti, Honourable Sonti, yes, right, go close to the mic. We have now checked Hansard, and you did say what the Honourable member said you said, and that we ask you to withdraw.
Tata, Karukon. Kodwa che. Ngabo banhluphayo. Kodwa ke ngicela uxolo, ngicela uxolo.
Suyimosha.
Ngicela uxolo.
Suyimosha. No, thank you. Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker.
No.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
in the name of God Almighty, is it really parliamentary for us to be subjected to an endless stream of trivial motions?
Order, Deputy Speaker. Order. I rise on order,
I would
Deputy
like you to
Speaker.
make a ruling on that.
Deputy Speaker, I rise on point of order.
Honorable Gadi, may I suggest to you in future, we do not allow people, and it is incorrect for us to allow you, when someone is raising a point of order, for you to also raise a point of order, even as he has not concluded. Now, I wish to remind you that this is not the first time we remind you of it. It shouldn't be too difficult to remember it every time. So don't do that again. Yes. Complete your...
Yes, Deputy Speaker, I was saying, please, can you give us guidance? Because so far, we have not entered into the serious business of why we're here today.
Yes.
And it appears that there is a lot of subterfuge, basically to prevent us from dealing with the matters that are on the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable. Yes, Honorable Member. Honorable Member at the back there. Yes. The Honorable Member behind you, yes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the reinstatements of 783 charges of corruption and fraud.
On a point of
President
order,
Jacob Zuma.
Deputy Speaker. On a point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
We are being subjected to a very brutal torture and verbal abuse by Honorable Lindiwe Zulu. Can you please call her to order to stop howling at us here?
Okay.
She
Right.
will get
All
the
right.
very same insult that you have been howled at the other side if she continues like this.
All right. No. Honorable members, order, order. Order, honorable members. Honorable Minister, please, order, order. Order, honorable members. Yes, honorable member.
Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Breitenbach had not completed her motion before she was interrupted by the point
No,
of order.
she sat down. She sat down.
But she has to sit down when you're making a ruling. That's the rules, Deputy Speaker.
No, she had finished. No, honorable member, I assume she finished. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, honorable member. Honorable member, finish your stuff if you didn't.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates.
Order, order. No, no, honorable members, that's out of order.
I can stand here all day.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the reinstatement of 783 charges of corruption and fraud against President Jacob Zuma. I so move.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the role of the ANC Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, the ANC MEC for Cooperative Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs in Limpopo, and the SAPS in Limpopo in destabilizing the Mogalakwena local municipality and its council. I so move.
Honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates how the government, and particularly the Tourism Department, can help to alleviate the problem of poverty in South Africa, given the current discourse between tourism and poverty alleviation, because the mere fact that tourism takes place does not imply that the money trickles down to the poor. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable member. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
I hereby move, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, that at its next sitting, this House debates the Department of Social Development's inability to obtain current, accurate information regarding the prevalence of substance abuse in South Africa and the impact it has on the fight against substance abuse.
Thank you. I'm going through the last rounds. Yes, Honorable Member, at the back there.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
No,
The
no,
EFF
Honorable Member.
raises-
There's a member behind you. I had asked to stand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please, Deputy Speaker, recognize me.
No, Honorable Member. You're out of order. Go ahead, Honorable Member.
Ke a leboha motlatsi wa motsamaisi wa dipuisano. Ne ke hlahisa hore ntlo nakong e tlang e ke qoqe taba ya batho be le reng ba ipelaetsa kgahlano le phano e fokolang ya ditshebeletso. Mo e le reng mmuso e etelletsweng pele ke ANC o hloleha ho fana ka ditshebeletso tsa mantlha.
Point of
Yes,
order,
Honourable
Chair,
Shabalala.
if I may. I'd like to bring to your attention the fact that Minister Lindiwe Zulu has just had to be separated by the police from a member of the EFF when she came around the back and attacked her just outside the door. I would like you to address this matter, please.
I can't address something I haven't
Speaker.
seen, Honorable Member.
Speaker, that's incorrect, Speaker.
Honorable Members, I will not be able to address that matter. It has not come to our attention formally and properly. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The EFF rises that the House in its next sitting discusses the immense emotional and mental abuse suffered by members of the opposition party in the hands of various chairpersons of the National Assembly. I so move.
Honorable Member. Yes.
Ngiyabonga, Sekela Somlomo. The Economic Freedom Fighters rises to move that at its next sitting, this House debate the cost of Jacob Zuma's wives to the state. I so
Honourable-
move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Geagte huisvoorsitter, ek is van voorneme om namens die DA 'n mosie in die volgende vergadering ter tafel te lê om 'n debat te voer oor die watertekort in Tambosiliane munisipaliteit. Dankie.
Honorable Members, I have given, I'm looking for members who I haven't seen talk. And I'm going to do that. At the back there, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the use of cattle crawls for security purposes. I so move.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the inability of President Jacob Zuma to lead his cabinet in one clear policy direction, thereby creating policy uncertainty, limiting economic growth, and discouraging foreign investment. I so move.
Sorry, sir. Thank you, Deputy Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that in its next sitting, this House debates the archaic apartheid legislation that is a National Key Points Act.
Yes, Honorable Member. No, Honorable Member is the member over there.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party that at its next sitting, this House debates the Western Cape Provincial Department of Human Settlements' failure to build adequate housing with a backlog of approximately 500,000 in the city of Cape Town, with only 66 houses built in the N2 Gateway project. Honorable Deputy Speaker, hundreds of thousands of people are living in appalling conditions in the Western Cape. And I so move that at this sitting, this matter is debated. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that in its next sitting, the House debates the short and long-term plan of addressing the long queues in clinics, which starts as early as 4 a.m., that our people are subjected to. I so move.
Thanks, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debate the use of swimming pools for security reasons when millions of young South Africans need them for training. I so move.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the spectacular failure of the ANC-led Nelson Mandela Bay municipality to implement its integrated public transport system and its impact on the local economy. I so move.
Honourable Member at the back. Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting in this House we debate how PRASA did not comply with the processes and procedures in the ordering of the new locomotive rolling stock, how this took place and the impact this had on the project and the budget in this regard.
Honourable Members, I am now going to, I have exhausted people who have not, now, Honourable Members, I want to bring to your attention that we have now covered the majority of members here, some of them more than twice. And no, Honourable Members, reasonably speaking, there are orders of business on the House, and we will proceed to do with those things. I'm going to give you a few more members, and we will then assume that we've done so. Yes, yeah, okay.
Deputy Speaker, a point of order. May I understand from you what rule you are utilizing to curtail the motions, which in terms of the rules are unlimited for members? May I have the rule, so we just for future reference?
No, Honourable Member, Honourable Chief Whip, we are saying so on the grounds that yes, I am talking, wait, you see, this is the problem. I wish to indicate that, Honourable Members, we have to be reasonable, that we must aim at dealing with the issues before the House. Even if you want us to deal with all of those issues that you are raising, we do draw your attention to the fact that it is crucial that we reach a stage where we say we have had these notices that you are giving, that we will proceed to the next order of the business. We are going to reach that point.
Deputy Speaker?
Yes.
I hear your ruling, and I still would like to know what rule it is. But I certainly appreciate your comments that you've made about being reasonable, because that's certainly what we would expect from the programming whip and the programming team in the ANC.
On a point of order, Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip is advising the table there on the rules.
Honourable Gadi.
No, Chief Whip.
Honourable Gadi, this is the last time I warn you. This is the last time, okay? Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the cost and purpose of flighting our satellites for spying on our citizens. I so move.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Die ekonomiese vryheidsvegter stel voor dat die huis by sy volgende sitting die volgende debatteer. Die politieke inmenging by die SAIK deur die regerende party.
Honourable Member.
Nkosi, Deputy Speaker, I move on behalf of the EFF that the House in its next sitting debates the corruption that the ANC councillors commit by selling basic service needs like electricity, plots, and food parcels to poor people of South Africa, like it is the case in Ganini Kayelicha, where poor people are being abused by councillors. And the House must come up with an amicable solution to solve this wrongdoing. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Rise that this House debates whether in fact this House is not being misled, that the ANC, APC and NFP are actually one and the same. I hereby move.
Honourable
Chairperson.
Speaker, ngiyaxolisa ukuthi siyahlupha mawudla kodwa
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chairperson.
Let the member finish. Honourable members, just get into the habit of waiting for a member to finish what they are saying, and then you can rise on what you think is a point of order.
hayi ngibona ukuthi ufuna ukuphuthuma
Cha,
ukudla manje.
sikhuluma naye. Awuqeda indaba zakho baba.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, ngiyaxolisa. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby give notice that at the next meeting of the National Assembly, that the House debate the requirement for a member of the official opposition to chair the Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
Yeah, honourable member.
Chairperson, I'm very disturbed.
Yes.
By the motion of the Speaker, of the honourable member of the DA. When we say on the next sitting we must debate that the NFP, APC and the ANC is one part, I don't think that is a logical motion that any reasonable person can bring.
Honourable member, there's not a point of order. Yeah. Yes, honourable member.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the government's ongoing failure to implement a national 112 emergency call center system and the tragic consequences that this has had in terms of our capacity to manage life-threatening emergencies. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The EFF rises to move that at its next sitting, the House debates that there are more bodyguards to ministers than there are soldiers guarding our borders.
Honourable member next to you. Honourable Sonti.
Ngiyabonga sekela mlomo. The EFF rises to move that at its next sitting, the House debates the nuclear deal that President Zuma negotiated by himself. Thank you.
Honourable members, you are really cheapening the House by doing what you are doing now. No, Honourable Kaula, please keep quiet. You are out of order yourself, Honourable Kaula, please. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the DA, I'd like to move that this House at its next sitting debates the exact meaning of the phrase, "The lights of the Eiffel Tower are really shining tonight," as it relates to President Jacob Zuma.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I give notice that the next sitting day of this House discusses those municipalities under the control of the National Freedom Party in KwaZulu-Natal, any allegations of corruption and mismanagement there, and the effect of the entire co-option by the ANC on that party. I so move.
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The EFF rises that in its next sitting, the House debate the failure of the ANC government to resolve the land claims issues in Mpumalanga at Emakhazen Local Municipality, Vonderfontein area, Chief Albert Lutuli Municipality, Friesland and Sterkspruit area, Mkondo Local Municipality, whereby the white people that are still owning the land are harassing the people by demolishing their houses and beating the people, treating them as if they don't exist. I so move.
Myself.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the expropriation of land without compensation for equal distribution. I so move.
Thank you, Speaker. No,
Sir.
no. The person next to you, yes. The honourable member next to you.
Thank you. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House, at its next sitting, debate South Africa's mandate for the upcoming climate change COP in Peru in December.
Yes, honourable member.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House, at its next sitting, debates the blatant abuse of executive power and millions of rands in public money on ministerial boards of inquiries as political hit squads in an embarrassing attempt to silence governing party opponents, as pioneered by the Minister of Human Settlements. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the Honourable Minister of Defence and Military Veterans' mathematical abilities in view of the fact that for the past 2 years, she has been unable to resolve a basic mathematical problem, and that is, did the Honourable Lindiwe Sisulu take 35 flights or 203 flights on ultra-luxury, privately owned Gulfstream executive jets?
Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF to move that the House in its next sitting debates the inconstant and irrational application of the National Assembly rules by the various chairpersons. I so move.
Honourable Kubisi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the NFP, I hereby give notice that on the next sitting of this House, the House debates whether the DA and the EFF and other parties are not in a pact and unholy alliance whose motive is to discuss frivolous, petty, and trivial matters as a way of derailing the House. I so move.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party that in its next sitting, this House discuss the apartheid mentality of the Democratic Alliance in the new dispensation. I so move.
Point of order.
What's your point of order, Honourable
I
Member?
rise on Rule 63, and what the member has said about the Democratic Alliance having an apartheid mentality is offensive, and it asks that he withdraws it.
Okay. Yes, Honourable Member, we'll come back to that.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the impact of the cloud of allegations against our President on the fight against corruption in the public sector. I so move.
Deputy Speaker, sorry, I asked you to make a ruling.
I did say I'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates how the SABC Chief Operating Officer, Hlaudi Motsoeneng, has been deployed by President Zuma to turn the public broadcaster into a propaganda machine.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the EFF, I rise to move that the House in its next sitting debate the filthy conditions of provincial or various provincial hospitals, such as Rob Ferreira in Mpumalanga, after they taken over by the ANC government.
Barnett. Honorable Kola Barnett.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance and move that at the next sitting of this House we debate the casual nail painting undertaken during the Nkandla Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the President's aversion to accountability, going so far as to say that corruption is only a crime in a Western paradigm.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at this House next sitting, we debate whether, in fact, the NFP are now attending ANC branch meetings as overheard in the corridors of Parliament. I so move.
Honourable Member at the back. NFP at the back.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party at its next sitting. This House debates the Democratic Alliance's opposition to the building of places of worship, including mosques and temples in the so-called previously white residential areas. I so move. Thank you.
Honourable Kubisi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby give notice that on the next sitting of this House, the House deliberates on the clandestine moves of the DA, which are encapsulated in the apartheid tactics. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the economic freedom fighters, I rise that in the next sitting, the House debate the findings of a fraudulent driving license revoked once provided by the Mpumalanga Traffic Authority in Delmas in the 90s, as per the findings of Magistrate Molden Hula Commission in favor of the Speaker, Honorable Mrs. Baleka Mbete, fraudulent driving license. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the next sitting this House debates how President Zuma's legal team initially got the spy tapes in their possession. I so move.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move that at its next sitting, this House debates the Minister of Environmental Affairs' failure and or refusal to release the names of the panel of experts appointed in January 2014 in meetings since April 2014 to investigate the possible trade in rhino horn. I here so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. EFF moves in its next sitting, the House debates transformation or the lack thereof in South African rugby. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at the House's next sitting, the House debates whether the South African government's fostering of closer relations with China and Russia under President Zuma's watch is having a negative effect on the President's understanding of democratic principles such as openness and accountability. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of Economic Freedom Fighters that in its next sitting, the House debates the practice of labor broking in light of government commitment to create sustainable jobs and the effects of this practice in relation to workers' rights to organize and unionize. I so move.
Thank you, Speaker. I move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the collapsing and failing electrical infrastructure resulting in 400 power outages in 2 years in the Black Panther County area. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House at its next sitting debates the total ban of single-use retail plastic bags from retail stores in South Africa, as was done successfully in Rwanda in 2008. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the possibility whether Minister Hanekom would consider declaring Nkandla a tourist destination, given the fact that millions of taxpayers' money was spent on building it. Thank you.
Your ruling, Speaker, on matters relating to a matter that's coming up later in the House.
No, honorable members, you are out of order and you know it. There's no question about it. You know you're out of order and that matter is not going to be done. Go ahead, honorable member.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the lack of funding for the implementation of the National Sports and Recreation Plan. I so move.
Honorable member.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I move on behalf of EFF that the House in its next sitting debates the continuing incarceration of the former freedom fighters 2 decades after the attainment of our freedom. So I move.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the ANC, I move that the House in this next sitting congratulate the DA for having successfully completed an induction course on howling from the EFF. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that this House at its next sitting debate the state of anarchy and monarchy and mockery in the House through the behavior of some of the opposition members who are turning our hard-earned democracy, which we earned through blood and sweat and sacrifice, a notion and understanding that none of these members will ever understand.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters to give notice that the House in its next sitting debates the desirability or lack thereof and the cost implications to the national treasury of having 2 capitalists in one country, one legislative here in Cape Town and the other administrative in Tshwane. So I move.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise to move on behalf of the EFF that in its next sitting, the House debates the role and the continuing relevance of the International Criminal Court in prosecuting African personalities. I so move.
Honorable Gadi, it's the member next to you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the IFP, I hereby move that in the next sitting, we urgently discuss how we curtail verbal diarrhea in this House. I so move.
Die ekonomische vrye vegters stel voor dat die huis by sy volgende sitting die volgende debatteer. Die gebruik van die R5 geweer gedurende protesaksie vir skare beheer.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the African National Congress that in the next sitting, the House debates the significance of the rules and the authority of the presiding officers in the running of the business of the House. I so move.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The EFF rises to move that in its next sitting, the House debates the unpaid mine workers by Aurora, which is owned by Jacob Zuma's son.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the Economic Freedom Fighters, I rise that in the next sitting of the House debate the purchase of buffalo and impala over 100 million rand or so, whilst 34 people of Marikana are lying dead in cemeteries and their next of kin sleep without food because breadwinners are no more in the company where the Deputy President is a director. I thank you.
Honourable Member.
Ndiyabulela sekela somlomo. Ndiphakama ndimela umbutho kaKhongolose. Uphakamisa ukuba le ndlu yowiswa mthetho ixoxa ngophando omalwenziwe kubacinezeli bantlandlolo neengcuka ezambethe ufelelwe gusha ezisahleli ebhotolweni zinabele ejemini ziqamele ngesonka samasi zisitya isidudu ngomcinga babe abantu abazindlalifa bezimpula zikalujaca beyimipha echutyiwe yalahlwa. Ndiyabulela.
Honourable members, we now come to motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honourable member at the back.
Thank you, Speaker. On behalf of the National Freedom Party, I move without notice that this House notes that a Durban High School principal was removed by the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education on Monday after allegations of sexual misconduct with a school child. Further note that the principal will be brought before a disciplinary tribunal of the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education. Note further that allegations of sexual misconduct by educators in South Africa involving learners is prevalent. We therefore implore the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education and to issue a harshest possible sanction should the principal be found guilty of sexual misconduct, to send a strong signal to all educators that sexual misconduct with learners will not be tolerated in South Africa. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honourable member.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I move without notice on behalf of the National Freedom Party that this House notes the motion proposed by the South African delegation of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, which was held in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, which was unanimously supported by all member states for infrastructure development to intra-African trade and implementation of Agenda 2063 to enhance social, cultural and economic development in SADC region. This motion, if implemented, augurs well for South Africa and its people at large. I so move. Thank you.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. Okay, objected. The motion falls away. Next. Yes, Honourable Member.
Deputy Speaker, I move without notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House note the so-called farm worker unrest in the Dorings 2 years ago with negative effects on our economy and the workers
clear indication of political supported instigation by Bawusa that resulted in this unrest. Proactive initiatives by bona fide farm workers subsequently to stabilize the labor and economic environment and to negotiate with employers in good faith. The very successful peace marches by these farm workers, the excellent and progressive relations established between the farm workers, employers, provincial government and local government. Congratulate the Ex-Valley Farm Workers Association and employers to agree on a constructive way in which all can build and contribute to the economy and sustainable employment. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. Oh, okay. All right, objected to? Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, moved without notice that the House knows that the gala event to celebrate Zimbabwean-born Mzansi legend Dorothy Masuku held at Galaka Convention Center in Midrand on Saturday, the 15th November 2014, further notes that the international music giant Oliver Mtsikuti is set to give an honorary performance for Masuku along with other trailblazers who claim Zimbabwe as their ancestral land. Acknowledges that Dorothy Masuku, who changed her surname for Masuku, is a role model to many musicians in Africa as a whole, and congratulates those who organized this event to honor even those that are still alive. I thank you.
There are no objections. I put the motion. No objection. Huh? No objections. Agreed to. Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes that many women in South Africa live in perpetual fear of abuse. Also note that gender-based violence in particular is rife, and hardly a week goes by in South Africa without our being confronted with a horrific report in the media about child or women abuse. Further notes that there were 16 charges against on-duty police officers and 37 reported rape cases against off-duty police officers between April and September this year. Acknowledges that the Independent Police Investigative Directorate revealed this in a report to Parliament's Portfolio Committee yesterday. Further acknowledges that the Western Cape has the highest number of rape cases against on-duty police officers, followed by Gauteng. Recalls that the 16 days of activism against abuse of women is fast approaching at the end of November, and it's a well-known fact that the incidence of sexual crimes in South Africa is extremely high. Calls on the Minister of Police and our Minister of Women to urgently intervene to ensure the safety of our most vulnerable women and children, and let the Women's Ministry do something and actually monitor. Thank you.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections. Agreed to. Honourable Member.
On behalf of the Chief Whip of the Majority, moved without notice, notes that in its resolution A/68/12 of 26 November 2013, the General Assembly decided to proclaim 2014 the International Year of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. FERA notes that in 1977, the General Assembly called for the annual observance of 29 November as the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Believes that the Palestinian people have a right of self-determination that includes and recognizes a sovereign, independent state of Palestine living peacefully side by side with Israel. Encourages all South Africans to observance the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people and to continue to give the widest support and publicity to the observance of the Day of Solidarity, and calls upon our government, civil society, and interfaith religious bodies, youth and students formation to heighten solidarity with the Palestinian people with the aim of finding a just solution in order to help to bring peace to the region and end conflicts between Israelis and Palestinians. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections. Agreed to. Honourable Singh.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On a serious note, I hereby move on behalf of the Nkandla Freedom Party without notice that the House notes with sadness that today marks the 4th anniversary of the brutal murder of Miss Annie Hindocha. Secondly, recognizes the growing levels of violent crime in domestic relationships in South Africa. Thirdly, supports all initiatives aimed at reducing domestic violence, which includes domestic abuse, spousal abuse, battering, family violence, and intimate partner violence. And finally, sends its heartfelt support to the Hindocha family during this difficult time. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honorable Mfundisi.
Deputy Speaker, I give notice on behalf of the HCDP that the House notes that the Jasper Solar Power Project, which was developed by Solar Reserve and partly by Google, has been completed and is now fully operational. Recognizes that this is the biggest solar project on the African continent. Commends Solar Reserve, whose project is set to power 80,000 households in the country, for completing the project 2 months ahead of schedule. Welcomes Solar Reserve CEO Kevin Smith's announcement that the Jasper project will not only help South Africa meet its critical electricity needs by providing clean energy to our people, but that it will bring long-lasting economic benefits to the region in the Northern Cape. Further welcomes reports about future projects, including their upcoming CSP projects that will provide South Africa with clean, reliable, and non-intermittent electricity day and night. So move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honorable Becky Kadebe.
Deputy Speaker, I move on behalf of the ANC that the House knows that the plans are underway to celebrate life and contribution of Dr. Nelson Mandela 1 year after he died. Further knows that to mark the anniversary, Cricket South Africa partnered with Nelson Mandela Foundation and the South African Rugby Union to host a T20 cricket match between the Proteas and Springboks on December 5 at Wanderers Stadium. Acknowledges that various fundraising initiatives will take place on that day, with proceeds going to Nelson Mandela Foundations, and congratulates the organizers of this event on keeping Madiba's legacy alive.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. No objections, agreed to. Honorable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House notes that South African children are, by every national and international assessment, not numerate or literate at the required levels. Further notes that recent highly credible research has shown that many teachers are leaving university ill-equipped to teach. Acknowledges that it is common cause that appointments of teachers are often based on union affiliation and not on merit. Recalls that the National Development Plan requires competency tests for new teachers to be in place by 2016. Demands that every teacher leaving university be professionally tested and accredited before being allowed to enter the profession.
If there are no objections, I put the motion. Objected to, the motion falls away. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the DA, I move without notice that the House notes that 1, Minister Lindiwe Zulu has behaved despicably by physically attacking another honourable member. 2, the video of this incident is already all over social media. 3, that the Minister's behaviour is unacceptable and unbecoming. And 4, that the Minister has covered herself in shame.
If there are no objections, I put
The ANC object to this motion.
Objected to. Yes, Honourable Mtau.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that the House notes that the Minister in the Presidency has requested the National Treasury to increase the budget of the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation by a staggering 700 million rand to a more than 1 billion rand over the medium term to end 2017-2018. Also notes that the Minister plans to deploy the additional funds to create more than 750 new posts in the department during the short space of time, and wonder whether this is some form of empire-building exercise, and further notes that the Presidency is making this request at a time when the public wage bill already costs the overburdened taxpayer more than 450 billion rands a year. Urges that rather than making such an exorbitant demand on the already overstretched Treasury, the government should exercise stringent fiscal discipline and apply itself to finding more austere alternatives to achieve superior performance outcomes. Calls on the Minister of Finance to reject this astronomical request from the Presidency, as its approval could only serve to deepen the ANC's crony network by opening up further undeserved opportunities for cadre deployment. I so move.
There are no
ANC
Point of order.
ANC objects.
If I have
Honorable members, please allow me to finish.
point of
before
order,
you-
Deputy
Hold
Speaker.
on, please. Just wait until we follow the process is over. If you speak simultaneously, how do we listen to who? So just be orderly, please, man. Yes. If there are objections, if there are no objections, I put the motion.
The ANC object.
Thank you very much. Yes.
My point of order, the Honourable Minister Zulu has been seen referring to as the Honourable Hill Lewis as a liar. The evidence is all over YouTube, so I don't know why she would say that, but I obviously would ask that you rule and that she withdraw and apologize.
Yeah, that's unparliamentary, honorable members. Yes. Honorable Minister, please withdraw. Honorable members, it is not, honorable members, we do not use YouTube as a basis for making decisions in the House. That's incorrect. But honorable member, kindly withdraw the statement.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, that I said he's a liar, I withdraw unconditionally.
Thank you. Next. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The
Honorable
economic
members, you're out of order. You can't be screaming across the floor and making the threats you are making. It's wrong to do that anywhere in the House. It's incorrect. You can't be doing those kind of things. No, don't tell me you are provoked. You yourself are provoking. It's disorderly conduct in the first place. Proceed, honorable member.
Thank you. The economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice that the House notes that 73% of South Africans are financially vulnerable, according to the MPT Consumer Financial Vulnerability Index released yesterday. Notes that the main cause of financial vulnerability was insufficient income and inability of South Africans to cope with increasing debt servicing. Recognize that although there was an improvement of 1.2%, 73.1% of South Africans are not in control of their finances. Observes that South Africans are unjustly expected to pay high prices for basic human rights like quality education and quality healthcare. Further notes that South Africans have to pay high rent and mortgages to live in safer and secured areas. Further notes that the black middle class in South Africa is in increasing debt and literally a paycheck away from poverty. Recognizes that 20 years into democracy, the quality free basic services to our people and the plummeting of 73% of South Africans into debt, forcing 73.1% of our people to debt slavery. I so move.
If there are no objections, I put the motion.
The ANC object.
All right, thank you. Falls away, Honourable Member. Honourable Green.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that this House, 1, notes that GRI Renewable Industries yesterday announced the official opening of a brand new 300 million rand wind turbine tower production facility in the Green Technology Industrial Park in Atlantis in the Western Cape. Also notes that when operating at full capacity, the 12,000 square meter factory will be able to produce 150 wind towers annually.
Share. Ngiyacela. Asizile uzodlala ngicela usikhuzele labantu abangapha. Yabona ngane bovu. Ayisazi ukuthi siyini thina. Ade khuluma usonto imlingisele. Manje ngiyacela akaniyekeni lento yokuthi mangabe laba benza izinto ningabanaki.
Honourable Member, you are out of order. You can't just speak without being recognized. How do you do that? No, ngikuza wena kokuqala nje. Awunamthetho wena kokuqala nje. And if you do that, you are going to leave this house.
No, she was raising a point of order.
No, you are out. No. Honourable Member.
Screaming all the times.
You are.
Mama is always screaming.
Listen, honourable members, you have to be respectful. If you do that again, you are going to be thrown out yourself. You even defeat the purposes of the reason you are rising. No, you are out of order. You must wait to be given a chance. Ayikho lento ishoyo ma ngoba ufanele ulinde uzokhonje masokhonjiwe kuma ukhuluma ayukhulume nje ngoba uthanda wena kunemthetho la efanele landelwe kahle ngendlela ehlelekile. Honourable Member,
on a point of order, Chair.
Hold on, honourable members. Let me do this. Honourable Mabe, please don't do what you are doing literally as we are speaking. Don't do that. You are out of order.
On a point of order, Chair.
Yes. Honourable Member.
Yes, Chair. On a point of order, can the honourable member withdraw the statement she's made in Ngane Bomvu? There is no Ngane Bomvu here. We are
honourable member.
Members.
There's the mic. I'll withdraw. Honourable Member.
Ngiyabonga ukuthi nina la niyasicindezela nisikhatha nezingane ngiyadrawa kodwa ziyayisa ingane zakho.
On a point of order, Chair.
Honourable Member.
On a point of order, Chair.
Yeah. Hold on, honourable member. Hold on. Honourable Kaula, you have not withdrawn. You have repeated it, and that is out of order. I suggest you withdraw unconditionally. Otherwise, this is out of order. You have to.
Kuthe kwavela uzinzo yaze lendlu yowisomthetho yaqhuba ngomsebenzi wayo.
As was planned.
Kulapho kuthe kwavela uzinzo yaze lendlu yowisomthetho yaqhuba ngomsebenzi wayo. Umbethe ubonwe esishiya isikhundla sakhe kwimizuzu nje engeyangaphi. Bulelani Philip, SABC News, eParliamentary. Bekunzima namhlanje kule ndlu yowiso-mthetho, usomlomo enqanda amanzi engena endlini. Bekunzima namhlanje kule ndlu yowiso-mthetho, usomlomo enqanda amanzi engena endlini. Bekunzima namhlanje kule ndlu yowiso-mthetho, usomlomo enqanda amanzi engena endlini.
We cannot leave this house. We refuse.
Can I request you with
For the sake of
Kodwa lokambethe eme kwelithi andijiki.
In my analysis,
Ingxokolo iye yaqhuba de kwangenelela i-ANC isithi ihambisana nalamaqela aphikisayo.
I stand up to
Kulapho kuthe kwavela uzinzo, yaze le ndlu yowiso-mthetho yaqhuba ngomsebenzi wayo. Umbethe ubonwe esishiya isikhundla sakhe kwimizuzu nje engeyangaphi. Bulelani Philip, SABC News, eParliamentary. Ubonwe esishiya isikhundla sakhe kwimizuzu nje engeyangaphi. Bulelani Philip, SABC News, eParliamentary. Yaqhuba ngomsebenzi wayo. Umbethe
we can We cannot leave.
Bekunzima namhlanje kule ndlu yowiso-mthetho, usomlomo enqanda amanzi engena endlini.
We cannot leave.
we continue as was planned.
Kulapho kuthe kwavela uzinzo, yaze le ndlu yowiso-mthetho yaqhuba ngomsebenzi wayo. Umbethe ubonwe esishiya isikhundla sakhe kwimizuzu nje engeyangaphi. Bulelani Philip, SABC News, eParliamentary.
As was planned.
Calm was restored and the House proceeded with motions. Mbete left the House about 20 minutes later. Peter. Bulelani Philip, SABC News, Parliament. Mbete had her hands full from the onset, battling to control MPs for the best part of an hour. She was taken to task for Mbete had her hands full from the onset, battling to control MPs for the best part of an hour. She was taken to task for unilaterally changing today's program, earlier agreed on by the chief whips of all parties.
We cannot leave this house. We refuse. So can we have a frank discussion and in fact proceed with the program as it was set up this morning? I plead with you, Madam Speaker. Please.
Can I request that you request the chief whips, you withdraw your ruling or reverse your ruling, and let's...
For the sake of progress and for the integrity of your office, that you suspend the ruling that you have made.
But Mbete was unrelenting.
In my analysis of the situation, have decided.
Motions were drowned in howls and heckling until the ANC stepped in.
I stand up to second the IFP motion, and
calm was restored and the House proceeded with motion. Mbete bekunzima namhlanje kulendlu yowisomthetho usomlomo enqanda amanzi ngene.
We cannot leave.
Can I you withdraw?
For the sake of...
Kodwa lokambethe emekwelithi andiji.
In my analysis of...
Ingxokolo iye yaqhuba de kwangesi.